Each year, the number of people identifying as Christian are declining. People are leaving religion, churches are closing, and folks are spending their time and money doing other things. We will look at possible reasons for this happening in just a moment. Hi, I'm Garth Oxner, former worship leader and your host of Faith Challenged. For years, the church has been a place of community and fellowship. People grew up in the church, they were baptized in the church, and they were married in the church. After the death of a loved one, people said their goodbyes at the church. At one time, the church was the center of the community. Children went to church with their parents. They were indoctrinated, grew up believing that their religion was the only true religion, and they were taught to never question their beliefs. Children and adults alike often only associated with people who looked the same as them and who had the same beliefs as them. Seldom were beliefs challenged, and people remained within their echo chamber. Homeschooling, schools run by religious institutions, were a huge part of religious life for many. Education curriculum was often tailored to suit the dogma taught by their respective religious ideologies. We see this happening today, but on a smaller scale. Donald Trump and the United States government has been forcing the Christian nationalist agenda down the throats of Americans, an agenda also known as Project 2025. The Christian nationalists push for the overturning of Roe v. Wade. They are generally against abortion for any reason. This movement is against LGBTQ+ rights. They believe that the Democrats are evil, America is evil, and they must take over government, and they must take back America for God. I identified as a Christian when Trump took office both times, and when people such as Franklin Graham pushed for Trump to be president. Early on, I saw Trump for who he really is and who he really was. He is nothing but a con artist and a criminal. Now Trump has 34 felony counts of falsifying business records to prove it. A jury has also found Trump guilty of SA. I have mentioned several times that I began doubting my faith during the summer of 2024, and that I left my church in September of 2024. I had always considered God to be loving and kind. I saw God as fair and just. What I saw from many Christian leaders whom I had once looked up to and respected was anything but loving and kind. In the same vein, I was taught that God was perfect and people were not. In other words, trust in God, not in people. People will let us down, God will not. Evaluating this now, I see this teaching to be nothing more than a cop-out. If people's words don't match their actions, why follow them and why believe what they preach? All of this led me to rethink my beliefs and to critically examine what I believed and why. You would think that I would have taken a deep dive into what I believed when I attended seminary. I obviously drank the Kool-Aid, and I had surrounded myself with like-minded people, and I was in an echo chamber for sure. Last year, when I was reading the Bible through a critical lens, I did not see a God who was loving and just. I saw a God who was vengeful, petty, and mean. I saw a God who destroyed those who didn't follow his rules exactly. Because of hateful Christians, both in the States and Christians who I know personally. I no longer identify as a Christian. Now, I am just one person, but there are many others just like me. People who grew up believing in a loving God. People seeing Christians who are hateful and now want nothing to do with Christianity. Here's the twist. At one time, and it wasn't that long ago, I was just like those hateful Christians. I believed I had all the answers and that what I believed was directly from God, and it was the truth. If you didn't believe what I believed, you were wrong and you were destined for hell. Wow, crazy shit. These days, many who believed and acted like me are waking up, and they are realizing that their actions and attitudes are and were hateful and divisive. People are leaving organized religion. Churches are struggling to keep the lights on and struggling to keep people engaged. No longer are people believing based on blind faith. People need more than faith. This is not a bad thing. It is good to reject beliefs that are not rooted in reality. It is good to reject beliefs that teach us to put down others for expressing different beliefs than what we believe. Friends, the light is on, and people are seeing Christianity for what it is and what it represents. It is not pretty. Charlie Kirk observed that more and more young people were opting out of the beliefs that he espoused. Younger people had no interest in the Republican Party. Given the opportunity, Kirk founded Turning Point USA. His mission was to attempt to engage young people in politics and in conservative Christian values. Charlie Kirk was a polarizing figure. In my view, he was a racist, misogynist, and homophobe. That said, although his rhetoric was filled with hate, no one should be okay with him being murdered. In looking at Charlie Kirk and his life, I saw a man who was out of touch with reality. I saw a man who did not reflect the Christianity that I once knew. In 2025, we see a Christianity that is hateful, a Christianity that is not helpful to anyone. This is why the church is dying. The church has lost its relevance. The church has lost its way. People are no longer associating Christianity with hope and love. As I mentioned last week, the Bible stories that we once thought of as being true and useful, we now realize are fictional and destructive. Christianity is not true. People are realizing this, and churches are closing. If you found this video helpful, please give it a like and share it with your friends. If you like my content, please subscribe to Faith Challenged. Until next time, I'm Garth Oxner, your host of Faith Challenged, reminding you to always think critically.